Good evening and good afternoon. Thank you for joining our webinar. My name is Adam, Content Marketing Specialist with Henry Schein, and I'll be your moderator. If you have questions during the presentation, please type them into the Q&A section and we will get back to you as quickly as possible. This webinar is presented by Henry Schein Dental and sponsored by Dentsply Sirona, and no CE credits are being offered for viewing or attending today's presentation. Our speaker today is Dr. Bob Conte. Dr. Conte has been in private practice for 25 years as a member of the ADA, RIDA, and AGD, and is a faculty member for CDocs. Thank you, Dr. Conte, for being with us. Take it away.
Well, thank you, Adam, and thank you, Henry Schein, for this opportunity to speak to all of you nice folks. Interesting times for sure. Rather than speaking to you from Dentsply Sirona World in Vegas, coming to you live from my kitchen. So thanks, Corona. So CEREC in 2020. Things have really advanced quite a bit over the last several years. Some of the advancements that have been made have really improved the workflow and the efficiency. So we're going to touch on a few things over the next 40 minutes or so that I think can really bring a lot to your practice. This isn't your father's CEREC anymore. We're able to use this system for a lot of capabilities. So I started pretty humbly. I was 26 years old. I bought this practice in Warwick, Rhode Island. It was a real fixer-upper. And the dentist was, he was old school. We had no technology. We had 3 rooms and really didn't offer much in terms of high-end services. It was a very basic practice. This wasn't quite what I had envisioned when I was graduating dental school. I was always very technology savvy. And clearly my senior partner was not. So with some hard work, we were able to kind of grow the practice to the point where I was able to move into a larger facility. So this was back in 2006. 7 rooms, much more modern. And at this time, I got into CEREC. I wanted to set our practice apart from others. I wanted to have the highest level of technology, both for my patients and really for myself and my own enjoyment. So that was 14 years ago. This is RedCam days. And that technology has really helped the practice grow. We're still growing to this day. Through the pandemic, I was able to add considerably more space to our facility. This is my dream, my milling center. 4 more operatories, so up to 11 ops. And technology really is the center of our practice. Even through COVID right now, we're still getting a good solid 100 new patients a month. So technology, I think today is probably more important than ever. These are very interesting times. So anything that we can do to, separate up from others, or even just increase efficiency within our own practices to make us more lean and mean. Anything you can do to grow the practice is definitely going to benefit us in the long run when all this kind of blows over. So I took delivery of my prime mill in April, right in the middle of the pandemic. Government had shut us down. We were all pretty nervous. Our entire profession was just a little unsettled. But I knew it was the right thing to do. I knew that we were going to get through this, and I wanted this piece of technology to enhance what I was already doing, and really just to help with the streamline the flow. So Prime Mill, it's a different beast than the MCXL. The MCXL really hadn't changed much since 2006. It was the same footprint, the same burr configuration. Granted, the wet dry that came out about 6 years ago was definitely an advancement in the right direction. It enabled us to mill zirconia. But the Prime Mill is probably the most robust milling unit on the market today. So it allows for more precision than even the MCXL. It's much more convenient in terms of it has a very intuitive touchpad with a guided workflow. It enables us to mill zirconia in 5 minutes or less. That is huge. And it's also prepared for future titanium milling. So the ability to mill your own titanium abutments. So it is poised to be a beast for the future. So as far as speed goes, it is the fastest milling unit on the market. Right, a 5-minute mill compared to what we're doing today is going to save you a lot of time in the long run. The way it accomplishes this is that both burrs are milling in parallel. All right, so you're going at it with the same burr from both directions. There's also a much more fine finishing burr that enables much more precision. So the times that we're seeing in the office, depending on the complexity of the restoration, the size of the restoration, anywhere from maybe 5 minutes down to 4. This is in super fast mode. So again, very much a game changer in terms of speed. In the super fast mode, there's no drop off in quality. If you look at fast mode with the MCXL on the left, you're going to see all those little striations. They don't cause any grief clinically, but when you compare the prime mill and the surface of the prime mill, the crowns it produces, even in super fast mode, it is considerably smoother than even the MCXL. This is an up close view, so you don't get all those little striations that you'll get with the MCXL. When you go to extra fine mode, if you're looking for even more enhanced detail, you'll see that compared to the MCXL, it is noticeably more enhanced in terms of the anatomy. Again, just higher surface quality. It's a whole new milling logarithm. They completely went to the drawing board and really changed everything within the machinery of the milling unit. So with the extra fine milling, the smallest tool available right now is a 0.5 millimeter, and it enables us to get deep into fissures, deep into interproximal grooves and braziers. And the resultant restorations are much more enhanced in terms of their anatomy. This will allow us to do much less post-mill work. A lot of us like to enhance our embrasures and texturize. Right out of the mill with the prime mill, you're going to get just wonderful anatomy. And again, the resultant restoration is quite nice. So we talked about the interface. It's a 7-inch interface with a touch screen that allows us to really just go through the workflow in a much more intuitive way than any of the mills out there today. There's an LED light strip, which kind of shows progress as the mill goes on. The strip will, the light will move from left to right. Again, it's a neat little feature, but when you just walking by your mill, it allows you to get a good visual as to how far along in the process you are. We talked about the interface. It does walk you through step by step the block selection, changing of the milling burrs. It really creates I don't want to say an idiot-proof way of going about it, but it's something that will allow you to delegate to your staff and feel confident that they're going to get it right in terms of administration, selecting the right block size, and ability to change burrs without having to go back to the software. Everything is done right here on the milling unit. So many of the manufacturers are soon going to be stamping their blocks with this data matrix code. It's like a QR code. The milling unit itself has a scanner. So rather than punch in a lot of numbers, as you would today with many of our zirconias, we're just going to be scanning the block. And then the mill instantly knows the block that's going to be inserted. It knows the size, it knows the shade, and it knows the manufacturer. Currently, only CEREC to CERA and CEREC zirconia shipping with this code, but all the material partners are on board. The RFID tool reader enables you to just scan the burr itself, and then the mill will tell you where to insert that burr. Again, it just creates for a much more streamlined workflow. It also knows the type, the length, the manufacturer of that burr. So again, it just creates a much more streamlined workflow. It's fully integrated and able to connect to your existing systems, right? Whether it's through the hub or just through a Wi-Fi network. So you're able to integrate Prime Scan, Prime Mill, and the oven as well. So clearly it shines in the milling of zirconia. It is, again, maybe 3 times faster than anything we've had in the past, but it also offers the versatility of a wet mill. So you can grind all these ceramics that you currently can grind with your MCXL. So a lot of options. Presently, we're validating all of the materials, all the blocks that are available. It's been kind of rolling out a little more slowly because of COVID. The timeline, phase 1 when it first came out was, strictly the top 21 materials available to us. These are the zirconias, the Emax, the Cera, Duo. Phase 2 is supposed to happen in the summertime, but obviously things got shut down a bit, so we're a little behind in that regard. But soon that will include all the hybrid materials, CEREC guides, Philips-Pathics. And then phase 3, which will more likely happen towards the end of this year, it'll be just some of the remaining, I guess, lesser used materials. Yeah. So that's the Prime Mill. Prime Mill for us enhanced what was already a pretty streamlined workflow. We added the mill, so multiple mills. You may not think there's a big ROI on that, but if you have more than 30, 40 units a month, and you have several doctors working, it's really nice to have multiple mills. I think you get more ROI out of more mills than you do out of even an additional scanner. But that leads us to the Prime Scan. When you combine the speed and efficiency and versatility of the Prime Scan with the Prime Mill, now you've got the fastest system on the market. The learning curve has gone down considerably. You can delegate a lot of your workflow. It's just been phenomenal. So if you haven't looked at the system, I urge you to take a good look. If you need another mill, if you're just getting into CEREC, you're in a really good spot. All right, so I'm going to switch gears. Ordinarily be answering some questions here, but so now you've got this amazing system, and we know it is an absolute beast when it comes to crown and bridge. And everybody's pretty comfortable using their CEREC system for crown and bridge inlays, onlays. But how many of us, when it comes time to restore an implant, resort back to PVS? I've never quite understood this. We have the best scanner on the market. Let's continue to use it to its fullest benefit to get the most ROI from it. Implant restorations are really, they're not necessarily easy, but the ROI on them makes it worthwhile to take a good look at the workflow. So working with the lab, I don't know what that is anymore, but many of us are still getting our implants and abutments and abutment crowns from our lab. And how many of us have seen situations like this where the fit is maybe less than optimal? The emergence profile is, subpar. And the potential is there for, in this case, a little bit of cement. All right, wouldn't it be nice to eliminate that? So when you're looking at the emergence of an implant crown, when you're dealing with the CEREC system and the tie-based system, you're able to design your crown to the emergence that you desire. Okay, so unlike a stock abutment or a lab fabricated custom, we get full control. We get full control from the implant platform up. So with conventional dentistry, and some of you CEREC users are still doing this, I don't understand it, but you do. How accurate is this? How accurate is a PVS compared to a digital workflow? There's a lot of room for error in this workflow. So when you're looking at a closed tray, besides torturing your patient for 3 or 4 minutes with a bunch of PVS, you're also going to put that implant impression post back into the PVS. Are you always going to get it right? Maybe. How about the open tray technique? This is pretty technique sensitive, right? You're going to take a stock tray and open up some windows. You're going to throw some wax over the top of it. Then you're going to torture your patient for 3 or 4 minutes. And then we're going to go into the mouth and try to free up these impression posts. Not an easy impression. And is it accurate? I would argue it's not. The CAD/CAM dentistry, we get it. We scan, we design, we mill. Or in the case of an implant, we scan and design. So let's look at the materials involved with this implant workflow from Dentsply Sirona. You're going to be ordering a implant-specific tie base. And with that tie base comes a scan body. You've got many different material options, anywhere from temporary materials to Emax, Vita, as well as Dynamic from Vita. There's also a zirconia solution. So these are mesial blocks. They are going to go right over that tie base via restoration. And we'll get into it a little bit. So you have the ability to do custom abutments and create cement retained crowns over abutments. We can mill provisional materials if you're looking to get some soft tissue healing. And we're also able to create screw retained restorations. So again, these are the parts. You can have a tie base kit that you can order specific for that implant based on the manufacturer and the size. We're going to have a scan body or a scan post for our scanning. And then we're going to use a mesio block or a block over the top. So look at the costs. And so you get a tie base kit, which depending on, which distributor you're working with, roughly $90. You're going to need a mesio block, whether it's Emax or others, roughly in the 70s. So total in, it's considerable savings over a lab workflow. And again, we've got the option to cement or go screw retained. If we go screw retained, the cost is even less because it's just one block. And with the cementable, you're looking at still under $200. And the nice thing about the cementable workflow, when you split that file, is you're able to put any crown material over the top of your abutment. So if it's a highly aesthetic case, you do have options to go to other materials other than just Emax. The systems that are presently in the software are all the big guys, from BioHorizons, Astra, 3i, Zimmer, Nobel, Straumann, Camlog, as well as several of, I want to call them knockoffs, but the secondary implant companies that are compatible with these. You can still use their systems. So in the last several years, we come up with a zirconia abutment. You don't have the ability to create a screw retained crown at this time out of zirconia. So whether it's zirconia or Emax, again, the system is the same. So let's look at the workflow. Once you've got your parts, you can have your patient in. We're going to remove the healing cap and we're going to place a scan post into the implant. You're going to do your scanning just as if you were scanning a crown on number 19. Very simple, very accurate. We're going to go through the steps in the software. We're going to mark the head of our scan body, do some trimming, and we're going to get a proposal. So now this crown is proposed full contour. And at this step, again, this is just like designing a crown. You adjust the occlusion, you get the interproximals proper, get the right emergence that you're looking for. If you want to go screw retained, we just mill it right here. If you prefer to go cementable, we have the ability to split this file. You also have the ability to make custom healers. Take one of the temporary materials, create the crown full contour, and now you get a custom healer that will enable you to really control the soft tissue as things are healing up. And so again, controlling the emergence, controlling the soft tissue, creating papilla that are much more aesthetic. Really neat workflow. And there's your custom healer in place. All right, so how nice is that compared to just a stock system or a system with a lab? Again, just going through the steps very briefly. This is where you would split the case, right? That last case was full contour. This one, you go in the software and you can actually create your abutment, and then you create your crown over the top. And it's a full control. There's the fit of the milled abutment to the milled crown. It's a perfect fit. It's a digital split, so there's no secondary impressioning. Much more accurate than you could ever do with a dental laboratory for sure. So there's our custom abutment in the mouth. And there's our final. And it's a full control over contours, full control over emergence. It's a CEREC crown, so you know it's going to fit very well, right? You're going to control your contacts yourself, no adjustments. And really, most importantly, the savings over a lab fabricated abutment crown is really significant. And if you look at your lab bills, many of you are probably paying somewhere upwards of $500 to $600 to $700. The ability to do this in office under 200 really improves the ROI on your CEREC system. And there's our final. So now we always talk about emergence. This is full control from the platform, from the head of that implant. We're able to control that emergence to our liking. All right, so that is the CEREC or Sirona tie-based system. There are a lot of little parts. The workflow is going to take a little bit of training. Definitely a 2-day course to understand the ins and outs of creating your own implants and implant abutments. I think it's definitely worth taking a good look at. It's right there in your software. There's no additional charges. Certainly, you could even look online and educate yourself that way. So please stop taking impressions for your implant work. All right, that brings us to Dentsply Sirona's Atlantis workflow. Again, a digital workflow. I call this implants for dummies. Not to disparage the workflow, but it's just so simple that if you're not going to take advantage of the tie-based system, take a good look at this Atlantis workflow. Super, super easy. So there's your implant placed, right? After adequate healing, you're going to have the patient in for a scan. So what you're going to do with Atlantis is you're going to order this IO flow. The IO flow is a scan post or a scan body for scanning purposes in the mouth. It is specific to the implant that you're going to be restoring in terms of size and manufacturer. It's also reusable. So you don't have to buy one per. If you're using, say, 3i Biomet, you'll need a couple of these. So there's the IO flow in the mouth. All right, so we're going to scan. You're going to create your digital models. And then rather than fabricate the crown in office or the abutment in office, we're going to send this by Connect to Atlantis. Atlantis is in Waltham. It's a Dentsply Sirona company. They create beautiful titanium or zirconia abutments only. So this workflow is scan and send. Atlantis is going to create in their own software the abutment. They're going to send you the abutment designed for your approval. You have full control over the prescription, so you can ask for specific margin depths. You can ask for different materials, whether it's a shaded gold or pure titanium or zirconia. You can tell them to support the tissue in any way that you feel is appropriate for that case. So there's a lot of control there. Granted, they are doing the design work for us, but this company has been around for a while and they get custom patient-specific abutments. So we're going to go ahead and say, hey, I like this design, looks good. I've got enough clearance. I like where the margin's sitting. Please make this for me. They're going to use their own machinery to mill it out. But the beautiful thing is with this particular workflow is that they're going to send you back this core file. You're going to upload the core file back into your CEREC system. And then you are going to design and mill the crown in office. So again, it's about controlling cost. There's the fit of the Atlantis abutment to my crown. Again, very intimate. It's a pure digital split, no second impression. So, you're going to get that pretty much that same control, contour, and precision that you would with the tie-based system. So again, whether you're confident and comfortable enough, doing all the design work yourself, or if you want a little bit of outside help, there is an implant workflow here that should suit almost any dentist. I've actually migrated over to Atlantis simply because, hate to say this, but I've been getting lazy. It's just so easy just to have someone else make it for us. The cost, I don't want to go out on a limb and make any promises, but it's under $300 for that abutment. And then of course your block is your block, $25, $30. So again, a big savings over the lab. The other nice thing I like about Atlantis is that the turnaround is crazy fast. From the time you scan and send, they're going to send you back that design for approval within 24 hours. They're going to send you the abutment within a couple of days. So, it's just, it's pretty slick. So that's implants in a nutshell. So let's look at using this amazing system beyond just restorative dentistry. How about digital orthodontics? Right, a lot of us in the past have used, whether Omnicam for maybe Invisalign cases, but quite honestly, that software, that orthodontic software is a little bit cumbersome. And not too many dentists, CEREC dentists, were taking advantage of Ortho with CEREC. They were still taking PVS impressions. And as you know, for liner therapy, the PVS impression is critical. It has to be accurate. So that's a tough impression to get. Right? You can't have any voids. So let's look at doing some orthodontics digitally. My favorite system to date is SureSmile. SureSmile offers us a lot of flexibility in how we're able to treatment plan, how we're able to really control cost, to be perfectly honest. It's also the only big company, I should say ClearCorrect will do it too. They accept prime scans. And the prime scan scanner, as you know, so accurate, so fast. For whatever reason, Invisalign has decided not to accept scans from prime. So a lot of us, heavy users are looking at other options. So we're just keeping it within the family, the DS family, and we started using SureSmile. And I've got to be honest, the results have been better. I've heard it from several patients who started with Invisalign. We did a refinement with SureSmile. Like, these trays are more comfortable. They feel like they're doing more. I can't say enough good things about this particular workflow. So, we all have opportunities in the practice to talk about orthodontics. If you're not doing aligner therapy, it's something that would really enhance the bottom line of your practice. Everybody wants to have straighter, nicer looking teeth, right? So why not offer them a very easy path to orthodontics? Most of my adults are not looking to get at brackets and wires. They want something that's, of course, invisible. They want something convenient, and they want something that really, quite honestly, doesn't take all that long. So let's look at a few, options or opportunities, I should say, to talk about orthodontics. In the practice, we take 35 millimeter photos of every one of our patients. And in those cases where there are some cosmetic concerns, you put that up on the big screen and just ask them what they see. What do you see when you look in the mirror? Is there anything you'd like to enhance with your smile? You'd be surprised how few, there are many patients within your practice that don't even realize you do orthodontics. Right? We talk about it in hygiene. How much easier it would be to clean if your teeth were straighter. This is a perfect opportunity for aligner therapy. It's your classic middle-aged relapsed patient. Maybe they've got some wear. But hey, let's just put the teeth in the right place. So photographs of every patient, really quick to do. Delegate it to your staff. Now your full smile shots, cheeks retracted, at rest. And, let's talk about your smile. Of course, fees are always going to come up. Right? They think it's going to be $1 million. When you're looking at a SureSmile case, and again, I only have Invisalign to compare it to, where you're able to just select to pay by the aligner. So for $29 per, you can really control costs on your end. And if you choose, allow the patient to pay maybe a reduced fee. It always drove me crazy to do like a 6 aligner case with Invisalign and have to charge them thousands because our lab bill was so high. So with SureSmile, if it's a very quick, easy diastema closure, simple rotations, 10 aligners, $29 per, you can do the math. The ROI is there. And if you want a full case, which includes refinements, it's $900. So anybody who's familiar with the fees with Invisalign, roughly double. So you're getting a better product. You're able to use your prime scan, and you're saving money. It's a win-win-win. So let's look at the numbers. Is it worth getting into aligner therapy? So in a comprehensive case in our office, $5,000. If it's a shorter, limited case, we'll charge $3,000. If you do maybe 5 cases a month, split up between a comprehensive and a smaller, limited case, right, you're looking at some pretty good numbers there. So now you're going to be looking at the fees associated with it. So on a full case, $2,400. On a limited, less. The net profit is crazy good. So that's 5 cases a month. Even if it's 2, cut that in half. It's still some pretty good revenue that you didn't even know you had. So it's definitely worth talking about to your patients. If you haven't gone through the training with SureSmile is minimal. You don't need to do anything in person. Basically, you just need a good scanner, and that's the prime scan. Beautiful thing about aligner therapy is insurance generally doesn't cover it. Some of our patients in my state of Rhode Island will have a one-time rider of $2,500. So, it helps for sure, but you can set your fees. You're not dictated by insurance plans. So now, again, that brings up the discussion. How am I going to afford this? Well, guess what? This is America. Nobody has $5,000 laying around in their pocket. Nobody has $40,000 laying around to purchase a car with cash. But we love to finance, right? You can sit there and tell a patient $400 a month. They're all in. So we'll utilize, whether it's Care Credit or Lending Club. Patients like to have payments. They like to break it down. I can afford $400 a month. I can't afford $5,000. I never quite understood that math, but that's just the mindset of the American consumer. So if you can tell them for $400 a month, I can get your teeth straighter, you'd be surprised how much case acceptance you'll get. When it comes to case acceptance, the ability to take a patient from a hygiene chair and scan them with the prime scan in a matter of 5 to 10 minutes, it really lowers their barriers to case acceptance. If I had to tell them, you got to come back for an impression, they're going to start thinking about it. They're going to talk it over with their spouse. But if they're ready, prime scan enables you to grab a patient, put them in a chair, and then just start scanning. You can train your hygienist to do it. So again, lowering the barriers. Another thing that we'll do for our folks is, rather than having them go through the application process with Care Credit, some folks are a little wiggy about that. We'll just do in-house, for the right patient. Say, Jane, you've been a patient of ours for 20 years. If you want straighter teeth, we can help you. Just do it in-house financing. They're not going anywhere. You've known them for forever. So again, just lowering the barriers. All right, so how do we schedule for a SureSmile case? So if they're not coming out of hygiene, we're going to have the assistants take high-quality photographs. Right, so you can take your 7 shots. We're then going to scan. Again, the scanning takes 5 or 10 minutes. Prime scan is ridiculously fast, even compared to Omni. The nice thing about when you're scanning, just like you guys know for your crown and bridge, when it comes to like a liner impression, having that immediate feedback of a digital workflow is just awesome. Rather than having the tray in the guy's mouth full of PVS for 5 minutes and you say a prayer, we can fill in the little bleb. So I got to get this area, I got to get that area. Again, it just makes us more efficient. All right, so now we've got our photos, we've got our scan. And if you're familiar with the Invisalign workflow, it's a standalone software. So we're going to go into SureSmile's website. We're going to log in under our account. We're going to click New Patient, and we're going to start a prescription. Enter all the patient's info, name, date of birth. We're going to upload our files. So you're going to upload the STL of the scan you just took. You're going to upload the photographs that you just took. Again, this is very similar to most aligner companies. We're going to fill out our prescription. Most of my cases are very basic. So, you click Ideal. If there's specific needs or wants that you're looking to accomplish with your orthodontics, then you can articulate them here. So you finish your prescription and place your order. So again, you don't have to be very orthodontically savvy. These guys will do everything for you. If you just say, I want Ideal, they'll do a setup that is what they would consider to be ideal alignment of your teeth. Now, what they're going to provide for us after a week is a setup and staging review. So this is basically your CLIN check if you're familiar with other companies. It's going to tell us how long it's going to take to get from where the patient is today to where they want to be. It gives you a very nice simulation that you can choose to share with the patient or not. It'll tell you the number of aligners. It'll tell you if there's any IPR to be done, if there's any attachments that need to be placed. It'll also tell you if the case is going to require some little more complicated movements. So at this point, you have the ability to either approve it, modify it, or in some cases that are a little more complex than we anticipated, we might even have the patient back in for a quick consult. We'll look at this together. All right, it's a number of attachments. These are where we need to do IPR. And you approve it. Patient comes back. We teach them how to use the aligners. We give them home care instructions, and they're off. So if you look at the time involved, whether you took them out of hygiene or you had them in for a separate visit, we're looking at barely 30 minutes of chair time. The prescription process, you can do at home on a computer if you want. And then the seating of the aligners, including adding any attachments, that's another 30 minutes. So this is a pretty high profit procedure with very little effort, and it's super predictable if you're selective in your cases. And so we talk about being consistent across the board with any of our messaging, whether it's CEREC or aligner therapy, Botox, whatever is going on in your office. Get the entire team both educated and motivated, because anybody who can easily drop the ball on cases like this. And if a patient calls and says they want to get their teeth straightened, your receptionist needs to understand how easy it is and the fees involved and the appointments involved. Your hygienist, in hygiene, they're a captive audience for 45 minutes. They know their patients. They can talk to specifically the female patients about their appearance and their teeth and their hygiene and their alignment. And the patient that has uneven wear or the patient that has TMJ concerns. These are all opportunities to start talking about straightening your teeth. Let's get your teeth in the right position. These are perfect cases for aligners. Right, your minor rotations, your ortho relapse, diastema closures. If you're going to do a lot of really heavy-duty ortho, then you may want to consider referrals. But get everybody talking about ortho. It's a fun thing to do. Everybody wants straighter teeth. It's easy to do. It's very profitable. It's just a win-win all around. So that's SureSmile. Again, the reasons that many of us jump into SureSmile initially were because of the Prime scan. I can tell you now, I'll never go back to another company. Because after 50 cases, super predictable. They all finish where they're supposed to. Patients love it. It's comfortable. A little bit more control on my end. Definitely worth taking a look at. All right, so we've got the ability to create these full arch models with our Prime scan. Right, you can do a full arch scan in 10 minutes. So let's look at other ways of using this technology, thinking a little out of the box. How about just simple treatment planning? It's very easy to take a digital scan on your new patients and then walk them through what you see. Jim, these are your conditions. This is what I'm seeing. Ask for them to, bring up what they see. They're going to ask a lot of questions. You start blowing up their teeth 20x on a digital monitor. They're going to understand and co-diagnose their problems. Or what else can we use these super accurate scans for? Well, how about printing models? Right, whether it's for diagnostic purposes or in the case of some more advanced offices, maybe you want to create your own aligners. Get some. SureSmile has the ability to do your staging for you and then send you back the individual STLs of the movements, so you can either print or suck down your own aligners, retainers. Whether it's a orthodontic expander or how about just a night guard. Scan, print, suck down a night guard, bleaching tray, athletic guards, sleep apnea devices. And these are all value added services that you can really use your technology to promote your practice. Now, a young person who wants to get their teeth whitened, they may never experience the wonders of CEREC for a crown. They may not, appreciate the technology. But when you can scan and show them how cool it is, and two, you tell them, remember those times we had to take impressions for your braces? Everyone remembers the impressions. So when you can share with them that you can eliminate all of this, all the impressioning, again, it lowers the barriers to case acceptance, but it also it promotes your practice. It differentiates you from others. People start talking about it. My dentist has the coolest technology. Use it for everything if you can. All right, so I hope I opened up at least some possibilities for you guys to expand the services that you're providing with your CEREC system. If you haven't either upgraded or purchased or taken the plunge, really look at it closely. I think, with COVID being what it is and what it's done to our practice, I think anything that we can do to make ourselves more efficient, you can share with your patients, only one visit to the office. I don't know about you, but it's getting more difficult to get patients in the door. The secondary spike has people a little freaked out. But just the mechanics of getting a patient into the office, between the masks and the temperature and the waiting in the car, I think anything you can do to knock off an appointment or shorten an appointment or combine an appointment, hygiene and impressions, is really to the patient's benefit. These are interesting times. I think anything we can do to invest in our practice right now will make us that much stronger as we go forward. So yeah, now's the time. I mean, this is 2020. So thanks a lot. Hope I opened up your eyes a little bit. And if you have any questions or concerns or comments, my email is right there. I can be reached out really anytime. So thanks a lot. You guys be safe and enjoy.
Thank you, Dr. Conte, for your presentation. And thanks to all of you for attending. Please feel free to email us at webinars@henryschein.com if you have any questions pertaining to the topic of today's webinar. On behalf of Henry Schein and Dentsply Sirona, thank you again for attending. Stay safe, and everyone have a great evening.